I wonder if you could comment or talk more generally about the international impact that the Japanese media has. Because one of the two things have always struck me about the Japanese media, and these are personal impressions, not based on any kind of data. One is that the Japanese media is incredibly well resourced, far more than any other national media I'm aware of. Whenever there is a big story, the Japanese TV stations send helicopters into the sky. Any news story is inundated with large numbers of reporters. Japanese newspapers in their foreign bureaus have multiple correspondents, despite having space for foreign news, which isn't any greater than the space, for example, in my paper. We have far fewer individuals and financial resources. So that's one thing. They're really well-resourced and extremely well-staffed. But the second thing is that in international terms, and my experience here goes back nearly 20 years, the Japanese media internationally rarely makes much of an impact. And as I say, I don't have data, so I'm slightly wondering whether I'm missing something. But from time to time, stories in British or American or French or German newspapers from other places in the world will become international news. The British newspaper, The Guardian's story about the National Security Agency leaks and so on is one example. But I rarely see stories originated in the Japanese media that have the same kind of impact. So I wonder, first of all, whether I'm right about the huge resources they enjoy, and secondly, whether there is a mismatch between this large number of resources and a lack of global punch, as it were. Sorry, that's a long question.
I cannot understand.
So I can only give you my impression. Japanese media, well, I also said that Japanese media is for Japanese national community, and it's organized that way that they try to satisfy information needs for the Japanese people, and it's also done solely in the Japanese language. So the information flow from Japan to overseas, you have to have some translation first, and then it's not only the matter of language, they have also a different assumption of what's important, what news values are. So here you have this space of different news values from news values outside. Take, for example, about this French terrorism and all these things. You have different emphasis. So by the time Japanese media influence overseas, then there's big time lag. So I don't think resources that they invest that matters much on impacts of overseas. So it's solely on the domestic market. I can't really answer your question more, but it's totally domestic oriented. And that is also something that caused also the time lag of shifting from newspaper to the internet too. They are well protected. Yeah.